Hello students, this is the third part of video. So in this video we are going to learn about the FIR or the first information report. It is with the registration of an FIR that the police can begin their investigation into a crime. The law states that it is compulsory for an officer in charge of a police station to register an FIR whenever a person gives information about the cognizable offense. So, what do you mean by the cognizable offense? It means a serious offense for which one can be tried and punished with imprisonment. So, this is called as cognizable offense. This information can be given to the police either orally or in writing. The FIR usually mentions the date, time, and place of the offense, where it took place, detail the basic fact of the offense, including a description of the events. If known, the identity of the accused person and witnesses is also mentioned. The FIR also states the name and the address of the complainant. There is a prescribed form in which the police register an FIR and it is signed by the complainant. The complainant also has a legal right to get a free copy of the FIR from the police. So whenever any kind of cognizable offense begins, the registration of FIR also begins. In short form, that is FIR, and the full form is first information report, and this is being registered or lodged by the police. So what is FIR? This is a written report of any crime. It can be filed by the victim or a person who has witnessed or seen or detected a crime. So it can be given in writing, as I said, or even it can be given in oral way. So police are supposed to write down all the details whatever is being given by the complainant. So what are the details that has to be written in the FIR? That is the time, date, place where the offense took place, and the facts which are related to the offense. And if they are knowing about or the identity of the person, that has to be written, means what if they know that person, what information about that person has to be written, the name, the address, the person who reports the offense, and his name and address also has to be written. Rather than that, the names or the description of the person who is involved in that offense or could be suspected to be involved in this crime. So that also could be written when they are filing or lodging any FIR. So the name of witnesses, if any witnesses are present, then the name of witnesses also has to be written. Means the people who has saw the crime being committed, if there is any. After an FIR has been recorded, the person who reports the crime sign it and keep a copy of it. This is his or her legal right as per the constitution. So the person who is a complainant, he also will get the same copy whatever is being written by the police. So what is the role of public prosecutor? That we are going to learn. The next topic. A criminal offense is regarded as a public wrong. What is meant by this is that it is considered to have been committed not only against the affected victim but against the society as whole. Do you remember the case of dowry death of Sudha that we read about in the previous chapter? The case against the accused Lakshman and his family was presented by the state. This is why the case was called as State, the Delhi administration vs. Lakshman, Kumar and others. Similarly, the above case can be called as State vs. Shanti Abraham and not Mrs. Shinde vs. Shanti Abraham, because she was not able to hire any lawyer, and lawyer has to be provided by the state itself. So two such kind of cases we already we came to know about that. One is Sudha Goyal's case, and the accused person in Sudha Goyal's case was her husband, that was Lakshman Kumar, and others means younger brother and the mother-in-law. And similar case was with Shanti and the Sushil. So here the case is stated as state weds the Shanti Abraham. So in short, any crime that is being done against the society, or it is affecting any of the person, any of the victim, so that is called as the law as being violated. In court, it is the public prosecutor who represents the interest of the state. So here, on behalf of state, who is standing? The public prosecutor. The role of the prosecutor begins once the police has conducted the investigation and filed the charge sheet in the court. So whatever FIR they have written, the same was called as charge sheet, and this every detail whatever is being written in the FIR, that is being written in the charge sheet, and that is represented in the court, and it is given, the copy is given to the judge. He or she has no role to play in the investigation. Now public prosecutor is not having any role while investigating, because investigating part is related to the only police. He is the person who has to interrogate, who has to find out the witnesses, who has to inform each and every minute detail in the FIR and even in the charge sheet. The prosecutor must conduct the prosecution on behalf of the state. As an officer of the court, it is his or her duty to act impartially and present the full and material facts, witnesses and evidences before the court to enable the court to decide the case. So behalf of the state, he is standing against the accused. So impartially he has to take the case. He have to come up with the judgment, whatever the charge sheet, whatever the witnesses or fact with material is being presented by the police officers. He is just filing a case or just moving in a particular process on behalf of the state. Here you can see the conversation between Shanti and the public prosecutor. Already we gone through this. This is Mrs. Shinde, how did the gold chain go missing? So he was asking to the complainant whatever statement she has given to the police officer. So once again he is cross-examining the witnesses and as well as the person who is considered as an accused one. Now what is the role of judge over here? The judge is like an umpire in game and conducts the trial impartially and in an open court. The judge hears all the witnesses and any other evidences presented by the prosecution and defense. The judge decides whether the accused person is guilty or innocent on the basis of evidences presented and in accordance with the law. If the accused is convicted, then the judge pronounces the sentences. He may send the person to jail or impose a fine or both, depending on what the law prescribes. So here what is the role of judge? Here the judge was represented as the umpire. Now his final judgment would be considered as the final judgment. He has to work impartially. He will hear both the people, like from the defense side also and as well as from the prosecution side also. Now judge will decide whether the person is guilty or innocent. Now on what he can decide or give away his verdict or statement, like whatever the evidences or witnesses was represented in front of him. So according to that and according to the law, he is going to give away his judgment. Now if any of the person is found guilty or accused, then the judge would pronounce his judgment or verdict or sentences, you can say in other word. The person who is found guilty may be sent to jail or can even be imposed fine, or both can be charged to him, like sending him jail and also imposing the fine. It depends upon what the law has been prescribed. According to the violation of law, it is already mentioned that we have learnt in judiciary also, that when they are drafting law, along with that the punishments are also being written. So as per the law, the judge give away his decision. Now what is fair trial? Let us for a moment imagine what might have happened if the judge decided to try Shanti's case very differently. What if the court did not give a copy of charge sheet and statement of witnesses to Shanti? What if he held the trial in a secret location where neither Shanti or nor Sushil were present? What if he did not give Shanti's lawyer, Advocate Roy, enough time to question the witnesses of prosecution such as Mrs. Shinde, and instead had already decided that Shanti was guilty? So if this happened, then it would be a case of unfair trial. This is because for trial to be fair, several different procedures have to be observed. Article 21 of Constitution that guarantees the right to life states the person's life or liberty can be taken away only by the following reasonable and just legal procedure. A fair trial ensures that Article 21 of Constitution is upheld. Let us now return to Shanti's case as described in the storyboard and identify the essential element of the fair trial. So, if the judgment go against the Shanti, if they were not given the charge sheet, or if they were not represented in front of court, if the judge has not given the chance a fair trial to the Shanti, now what would have happened? And even to Shanti, if the judge has not provided the defense lawyer by the state, by the government's expense, then it would go against the Shanti's case, and she would remain in jail throughout her life. But according to the Article 21 over here, you can see that proves that right to life, that is the fundamental right of each and every citizen of our country, that right to life, this has to be given to each and every person. So according to this right, every person should be given, or every citizen should be given a fair trial, a essential element of fair trial whenever there is any kind of case against any of the person. So here let understand by the Shanti's case. First, Shanti was given a copy of charge sheet, that is her legal right again, and all other evidences that prosecution present against her. So whatever prosecution, the state prosecutor or the public prosecutor has presented, all the thing and whatever the things to the public prosecutor, the information, evidences, witness, material, all is being provided by the police officer itself. Now everything is being written in the charge sheet, and same thing was given to the Shanti. So by this she can know that what charges was claimed on her. Shanti was charged with offense of theft that was being defined as a crime in the law. So anything that is being stolen or stealing is again considered as the offense, criminal offense according to the crime in the law. Now trial was held in open court in public view. Everyone was looking into the case. Her brother Sushil could attend the court hearing, so he can also give away his witnesses. The trial was held in the presence of accused also, means to whom it was being blamed or claimed, that is Shanti. Shanti was defended by lawyer, that is Shanti's lawyer, Advocate Roy, was given an opportunity to cross-examine the witnesses which were being provided by the prosecution. Now Advocate Roy was given the opportunity to present the witness in the Shanti's defense also. So who was represented in Shanti's defense? That was Inspector Sharma. So she was able to present the witness in Shanti's defense. Although the police filed a case of theft against Shanti, the judge assumed her to be innocent. It was the responsibility of a prosecution to prove beyond reasonable doubt that Shanti was guilty. In this case, the prosecution failed to do so. Now, here, two of the lawyers are just claiming to each other. One is trying to prove Shanti as an guilty, and whereas the defense lawyer, that is Advocate Roy, she is defending Shanti and proving her innocent. So both were going through the charge sheet, they were calling out the witnesses, both were cross-examining both witnesses, and here the prosecution fails to prove the Shanti as guilty. It is significant that the judge decided the matter only on the basis of evidences before the court. So every time evidences works, on the basis of the evidences only judge is deciding the matter. The judge did not jump to the conclusion that Shanti was thief just because she was poor maid-servant. Instead, the judge remained impartial, and since the evidence showed that some young man and not Shanti was the thief, he set Shanti free. In Shanti's case, justice was finally done to her because she was given a fair trial. So here, directly or in short period of time, the judge is not giving away his verdict or the judgment. He will impartial between the person who has complained and the person who was accused. So he is going to hear very patiently, he is going to understand, he is going to look after all the evidences and witnesses, he is going to hear the prosecution and as well as the defense lawyer. Until and unless he has not given his verdict, when Mr. Sharma has proved that the young gang has stolen the chain, it was not the Shanti who has stolen the chain. Only after that the judge came to the conclusion and set Shanti free. Now, why it happened? Because the Shanti was given a fair trial. As first of all, when she was represented to the court, she pleaded for the fair trial, and this chance was being given, or the opportunity was given by the judge, and because of that she was able to prove herself innocent. The Constitution and the law both state that all of the persons that we have discussed in this chapter should carry out their role in a proper manner. What this means is that they all needed to work to ensure that every citizen, irrespective of their class, caste, genders, religious, and ideological backgrounds, get a fair trial when accused. So, the rule of law, which says that everyone is equal before the law, would not make much sense if every citizen were not guaranteed a fair trial by the Constitution. So, here, as we have read, the Shanti was set free because she got the opportunity or got the chance of fair trial. So our Constitution also states the same thing: everyone is equal, nobody is above the law. So here every citizen of our country should get a fair chance and a guaranteed fair chance for the fair trial by the Constitution itself. He or she should not be discriminated, or the opportunity should not be taken away because the citizen is belonging to particular class, caste, gender, religion, or ideological background. Everyone has to be given a fair chance by the Article 21. Already we have read in the previous page. Now all of this process written in the bold on page 74 are crucial to the fair trial. Write in your own word what you understand of the following process based on the above description of Shanti's case. Now this you have to do in your FNB. After writing down the glossary, this has to be answered by yourself. I am not going to give away the answer, just understand the chapter. If you understood the chapter well, then you are able to give away the answer for the same. So here your chapter ends. I will send the PDF of the exercise and as well as the PDF for the worksheet. Please complete both the thing. We will start the next chapter from the next video. Till then, stay tuned. Thank you.